Hey, Jeff here. Have you ever had someone extra special in your life? Maybe it's a parent or coach, a friend, even a colleague or coworker, someone you knew from school. Anyone really in your life who has paid special attention to you in a way that benefited you enormously. I think we all have someone like that, not necessarily someone who spent every waking hour of their day with you and took your hand and guided you in every moment, but just someone who at some point gave you helpful advice. Perhaps they gave you a lending ear that added some insight or value to your life. Perhaps even someone who had a conversation with you. Maybe it was just one brief moment you knew them, but it just completely changed your life forever. For me, that was my Aunt Meg. And she was wonderful. I first met her actually when I was, obviously just a baby, and I interacted with her a lot, but I didn't really get to know her until the end of my high school years, even the beginning of college. And we would always joke about this. I was actually selling kitchen cutlery via vector marketing. They were Cutco knives. And it was a good college job to have. I did it during a winter break. My college, my undergraduate school, McDaniel College, gave these really long winter breaks called Jan terms. And 2 of my 4 years during college, I traveled on trips with people during those Jan terms, but I had one break where I wasn't traveling, I was working, selling these knives. And I went up to her house and I sold her an entire set of kitchen cutlery, and she loved my presentation. I nailed it. Of course, I was a little bit nervous going there, and I didn't want her to think I was, just trying to sell her this to make money, but I called her up because my dad always spoke so well about her. And up until that moment, when I was in the first half of my college career, I did not really know her, but there was something magical about that night where, it was as silly as me selling knives to her, but we just got to know each other better, and that kind of kick-started our relationship. And, my uncle would always joke, he's like, Jeff, you didn't have to sell us the knives, I would just give you commission, I would have paid you, but they loved the knives, they were good knives, and don't worry, I don't work for them anymore. That was just kind of the medium that allowed me to get to know her better. And she started giving me all this great advice over time, and I remember, I'm going to share with you, this is my first tip for you here today. We were on the phone, and I'm living down in Maryland at the time, and I was out of college now. And we got to know each other a little bit in the second half of my college career, and I'd go up to her house when I could, and we're on the phone, and I just kind of, I felt a little bit stuck, and not even, stuck is an overused term, but have you ever just felt like, you weren't really sure what to do next? Have you ever lacked clarity? That was what I felt like, and I was on the phone with her, and we were talking, and I said, Meg, Aunt Meg, and I said, Meg, I just feel like, all the adventure of my past and traveling Europe, it's all done now. It's all over. And she's like, what are you talking about? You're still on the adventure. And I was like, what do you mean? I'm in Maryland. She was like, she would always call me by my full name. I go by Jeff, but she would always call me by my full name. She said, Jeffrey, you are still on the adventure. You're in Maryland. You have opportunities. You have possibilities. You have your own apartment. And she helped wake me up into the moment. And, have you ever been so zoomed in on a problem that you sort of not only lost perspective, but you lost track of the present moment and all the opportunities you had? And when she said that to me on the phone, I was like, wait a second, maybe I'm not living in Europe anymore like I did in the past. I lived in Europe for an entire calendar year while I was in college, working full-time, traveling, playing on baseball teams, having a great time. I may not have been living in Europe, but I was in Maryland, a great state. That's where I went to college. I had some good connections, not only from college, but I was in Toastmasters, which is a fun organization. I had friends through that. I was in, various Rotary clubs. I was really getting to know people in the area. And when she helped wake me up, I realized, why not create some, fun for myself? Some spontaneous fun, some adventure. And, I went out there and explored. And that's the first tip for you. Remember, you are still on the adventure right now. You don't have to necessarily be traveling the world, although that can be part of it. You don't have to necessarily be doing some incredible, grand thing right now. Right now, on your adventure, you have opportunities and possibilities. Take Meg's advice. Meg's advice, travel, around your area. It doesn't have to be to Europe or Asia or South America or Australia or Africa. Travel around your town, explore, adventure, meet someone unexpected, shake someone's hand, put yourself out there. You are on that adventure, and when you wake up into that realization, as I did, it'll really change your day, your week, your month, maybe even your year. Second quick tip that I want to give you here today also stems from the experience, wonderful interactions I've had with my Aunt Meg. And she would tell me to keep my gears turning smoothly. And whenever I felt like I was in a rut or things weren't going my way, I would go back to what keeps my gears turning smoothly. And for me, I love writing. And it's kind of just a hobby. I mean, I have published a book, so I have been working on turning it into something more than a hobby. And the publishing of my first book went well. I went through a publisher and I got it out there. But I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about something that you can do 10 to 15 minutes a day that gives your life meaning and purpose. For me it was writing, but forget about me. What works for you? Is it talking to a friend? Is it going for a walk around your neighborhood? Is it going somewhere spontaneous and unexpected? Is it taking a risk and putting yourself out there? Maybe it's working on a goal or dream you've had. Maybe it's a task. Maybe you need to relax more and watch a movie of some sort. The goal here is not to necessarily try to change the world. It's not necessarily to try to get noticed by everyone you've ever known. It might just be something really simple that allows you to connect with your own inner wisdom to give you more peace, to keep your gears turning smoothly, as my Aunt Meg wonderfully said. And my Aunt Meg was wonderful. She gave wonderful advice not only to me, but she also paid a lot of attention to my siblings, my younger sisters, my younger brother. She loved my family. Incredible woman, one of the most wonderful women I've ever met. And have you ever met someone like that who has so many different friends, but whenever she's talking, he or she is talking to you, they make you feel like the only person in the world, and that was her. It was late October of last year. It was after I got back from my trip to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and my Aunt Meg passed away. She had cancer, which was very sad. She was in her early 50s, and we knew she was sick for a couple of years, but what was so kind of hard about it was that for a while she was doing better. She fought back against the cancer and her chemo was going well, but then it tanked again, and it's very sad. But she had to leave her husband and her son behind her. Her son was only a freshman in high school when she passed away, so that very tragic and sad. But I share that with you because you have to remember your time is short on this planet. Do something spontaneous, be adventurous, get out of your own mind, have fun, connect with that inner child. And I know that may sound hippy-dippy or kumbaya, but just in a very practical, common sense, even-keeled way, connect with something that gives you meaning and purpose. Not what gives your friends and family meaning and purpose, not what gives your colleagues, coworkers, classmates, friends, or acquaintances meaning and purpose, but what gives you that spark of joy? What gives you happiness? What keeps your gears turning smoothly? Apply Meg's advice in your life and you might just find, like I did, that things will make a turn for the better. If you liked what I had to say, please hit like on the video, and of course feel free to subscribe. I'm always adding more content to the world, and I'm looking to inspire your life by giving you practical content, insights, advice, and sharing with you tips that I'm learning from tens of thousands of people around the world.